Year, we were just talking about this unbelievable weather and how we should all be weeding our gardens this time of year. And maybe I'll try and do that, do a little therapeutic weeding at some point today. Wonderful to have you all back. This is officially passing the baton for hostess with the mostest to Courtney O'Brien. She, moving forward, is going to be our Coffee and Conversations host. And as with all things, we'll hold it down beautifully with her new bangs. Please note, she and I got a new look for the new year. We will be shifting. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but we're going to be kind of shifting focus on Coffee and Conversations through the fall to align some of the kind of format and presentations and information that's going out with a lot of the major initiatives that are happening within the agency. The word synergy came to mind and I was like, ew, gross. But that's what it is. Yeah, that's exactly right. So we'll be presenting some information on that new approach today. And I think with that, I'm going to stop talking and let Courtney O'Brien take over. And I'm just so pleased to see you all. I've been waiting for us to do our Coffee and Conversations. It continues to be a wonderful way for us to connect with you and to hear back from you. And I hope we can really continue to grow and expand this. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends to please be joining us consistently, because we've got a lot of information and there's a lot going on. And this is the best opportunity for us to be connected to you. So appreciate you all. Courtney, baton is passed to you. You are knighted. Please take it away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jill. I accept. I will take the knighting this morning. That sounds like a wonderful plan. Good morning, everybody. As Jill mentioned, I am Courtney O'Brien. I am an operations manager here on the AOE operations team. I have been with the agency since fall of 2022. So some days I still feel like the new kid on the block, but I'll tell you, it does lots happened in the last 2 years. So we're still feeling a little old hat at the same time. I have been lurking at the edges of Coffee and Conversation for quite some time, so I'm really pleased to be able to join you in this capacity. And we will get started in just a moment with the slides. I do want to note for everybody that we have begun recording, and I'll ask just a couple of housekeeping rules. Please take care to mute yourself if you are not speaking so that we can avoid some background noise. If you do have questions, feel free to raise a hand or put something in the chat, and we will move forward. Okay. Always this kind of awkward pause while we transfer into the slideshow mode. Okay, folks, we know why we're here. It's a little bit of in the garden, but Coffee and Conversations. Again, our plan is to publish these slides and recordings as we move forward. So we'll have a nice reminder of what we were talking about today. Our agenda for today. So we'll have a guest presentation from some folks, both within AOE and the field on the TRANS Act. We will go over the updated scope for Coffee and Conversation. So we don't plan to change too much. We actually had a nice natural flow into what we're planning to do towards the end of last year. But with the end of our ESSER fund and moving into late liquidation period, we do need to move away from our initial reasons for launching Coffee and Conversation. And we have some great ideas for how to do that. And then lastly, we'll end with our favorite bits and bobs. We do have a couple of great announcements for you for the beginning of the school year. Just a couple, again, reminders. Feel free to use the chat for questions. Go ahead and raise your virtual hand if you would like to pause and ask a question in live mode. And then again, reminder, we are in progress for closed captioning and recording. Meet your host. So Jill, as she mentioned, we are passing the hosting responsibilities on to team operations this year. More than likely, you will see my face and hear my voice most often in the coming sessions. Again, I'm Courtney O'Brien, operations manager. Our emails are posted here. I would also like to take a quick moment to introduce our colleague, Taylor Goodwin. Taylor is also on our operations team as Safe and Healthy Schools coordinator, and Taylor will be my valiant backup in the moments where I'm not able to join us. All right, we will move swiftly into our agenda. And Stephanie, I would love to welcome you. We'll take the slides down in a moment so you can say hello, and then I think there'll be a brief transition here. But I will welcome Stephanie Vogel from our Federal Education Support Programs Division. And Stephanie, take it away.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Conversations. I know many of you. I'm Stephanie Vogel, and I'm the Title III and EL Programs Director. And although that is true, the reason that I'm here is to talk about something that is related to Title III, but it isn't just about Title III. In fact, it's about all of the title programs and more. So I'm very happy and excited to welcome Jamie Osgoody from Transact. She's the Senior Account Success Manager there, and she has agreed to come here even though she's on the West Coast. So it's 6 o'clock in the morning for her, and she looks like that. So amazing. And so I'd like to hand it over now to Jamie. Thank you, everyone.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephanie. So, good morning, everyone. Yes, it is 6 o'clock in the morning and it is pitch black outside over here in Washington State. And it actually is raining, so enjoy your sun. Although we've had like the craziest, nicest summer on record, I swear. And we didn't have a lot of forest fires, so that's even better. So our air quality was great.
Always
But
a
I'm
win, Jamie.
always
Always
a
a
win.
win.
Always a win. So I'm here because AOE provides access to parent notices to all school systems in the state. So for anybody on the call today that is not aware, you have access to this resource. And what Parent Notices is, and I know I only have about 10 to 15 minutes, so I'll try to keep it really short and very brief, but very pointed. You have access to forms and letters that have been legally reviewed, that are professionally translated, and they meet those compliance requirements. So anybody and everybody from your school system that needs access to any of the ESSA forms can register at parentnotices.com. So I'm actually going to show you guys the actual website, kind of what it looks like, what is here. Because with back to school, there's a lot of forms and letters that are required to be sent out, on a federal level, state level, et cetera. But just really, this back to school idea of getting you guys access, but also pulling these forms as needed. So I'm logged in as Stephanie. When you guys log into Parent Notices, this is what your site will look like. On the left, I'm going to actually
You're not sharing your
Yep. Apologies,
oh,
Jamie. Yep.
Silly me. Okay. How about now?
perfect.
It's red on my end. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the parent notices. So it's just parentnotices.com. So for anybody that has not ever logged in, register, all of your school systems are in our system, so you can actually register for access. Your domain is going to associate you to your specific system. On the left, I want to just highlight some of the forms, because with back to school, there are, again, a lot of documents that you guys need to send out. And what you're going to see in the ESSA collection, all of these folders are going to be specific to the compliance area. So your folks that would be using this would be counselors, principals, federal programs, Title III folks, sometimes, also your homeless liaisons or your McKinney-Vento person at the district. But what you're going to see here in each one of these compliance folders are going to be a list of all of those federally required documents. So with back to school, you guys have to have a parent and family engagement policy meeting. Well, here's the invitation for the school level and the district level. You have school parent compact letters. There are parent teacher conferences. First and foremost, if you are a district that does not have EL or any speakers of other languages that you're required to send home notices in their languages, you still have these in English. They have already been vetted. They've been legally reviewed. We use the same attorneys that the US DOE uses so that we can make sure you're compliant with all of those federal requirements. Teacher and paraprofessional qualifications. You have to send out that annual parent notice, right to request. So here is that document. Some of your principals, depending on how your school system operates, they might need to send home that response to parents, or, you know, the verification of their of that teacher or paraprofessional's qualifications. You've got your EL program, so that initial and continuing placement. That is a document that also includes the proficiency tests and the composite scores in there. You will see your immigrant grant programs, migrant education, there's student privacy. So you have all of your FERPA and your PPRA notices. We will knock on wood, you don't need unsafe schools, but those are there. Sharing this resource too, again, with your homeless liaison or your McKinney-Vento person, you have everything from that public notice, referral, questionnaire, all the way down into the end of services. So just super quick, I just wanted to highlight, you know, a couple of those back to school documents, but we also have some resources. So anybody that is on this call that's responsible for compliance, we have a document called the Notification Checklist and Timelines, and this is a really great document for you to maybe print out, put it in your little annual binder. But what this document does, and we created this to help you manage the distribution of your forms. It kind of is a bit of a twofold because it also breaks down each one of those compliance areas. It gives you the list of the documents. It tells you who it goes home to. It tells you when that notice needs to be sent. And then it lets you know, is this a federally required document based on your situation? Or is it an elective or allowable document? So you guys can use this. This is also really helpful if you get monitored, because it helps to provide that proof and process to that auditor coming in saying, show me what you did. Show me why you did it. You know, so you've got this document, and that's definitely one that I highly recommend you giving to or using if you are responsible for compliance at the district. Working with the documents is really easy. Basically, you just click on the document, you click on this fill in button, and your district name will actually, since I'm logged in as Stephanie at AOE, it's not good. Your district name will actually auto-populate at the top of every form. You can type directly into the forms, and these blue form fields, they're document engineered. You'll see all of the translations that this document is available in. So you have 23 different languages depending on the document. So if I'm maybe a federal programs director or curriculum instruction, and I'm, you know, needing to send out a school parent engagement policy meeting invitation, maybe I have an Arabic family, I have a Portuguese family, I'm going to be very random, and a Vietnamese family. If you had all of them, checkbox all of them. If you just need it in English, it's going to default as such. You just click the download button. What will happen is that will pop up a PDF document. Everything I typed is right there in the document, and you'll see it's combined all of those languages into one PDF file. So now I have the Arabic version, and after English, it will list out all of the translations in alphabetical order. And then also too, anytime you translate a document, there will always be a language identifier box in the upper right-hand corner. That way you know what it is if you're looking at it, because if I got anything in anything other than English, I would look at it and say, that is beautiful. I have no idea what it is. So you can see here, I've created this little packet, this multi-language packet. All I need to do is either download it and pop it into one of my messaging systems. I can email it, or I can print it up and send it home. So you have those options. So it is super easy. I think, you know, the biggest challenge is, gosh, you know, how do I know what I'm supposed to send home? And we've also created a tool that is designed to help a school district figure out exactly what do you need to send home. So based on either a school or a district situation, we have something called the roadmaps. And these are like a little mini survey. They're going to ask you a series of yes or no answer-based questions, and depending on how you answer them, and you'll see there's little federal requirements in here. Some of the questions will also include like implementation suggestions, but I'm going to very randomly click on these. You can see here, I went through Title I school-wide. I answered these questions very ridiculously. I have no idea even how I answered them, but I just clicked yes and no. But based on how I answered these questions, it's actually going to give me a list. So to be in compliance with how I answered these questions, I should send home this Title I school-wide program eligibility, the planning meeting. I have a list. And then two, anytime you do a roadmap, there will always be an electronic copy that is dated, saved in your account, which gives the full breakdown of every question, how you answered that, and also what those lists were. So those are always going to be stored here in your summary report, so you can always access those. There's also state notices in here. So Stephanie actually has uploaded some of your state specific documents. So you'll see the home language survey in here. There's some special education documents in here. And I can work with her to add even more documents as you guys need them. So I know my time is pretty much up, but I also want to just super quickly highlight under people here. This is where you'll be able to see everybody in your school system that is registered for access. So you can see who has verified an account, who has been invited, but they haven't set up their password, who has set up their own account, self-onboarded. So you guys can add anybody you want. You have unlimited users and unlimited usage to parent notices. So we just want to make sure that you all have access to all of the resources for compliance, and you have access to that here in parent notices. All right, that was my super less than 15 minutes. So does anybody have any questions?
Stephanie and Jamie, we do have a few extra minutes here if we would like. I'll just go ahead and read some of the questions in the comments so that everybody can see them. One of the questions is which languages are included in the letter and resource bank? And Jamie, I think you showed us a snippet of that, but up to 25 languages was the response. Shout out from Stephanie, shout out to Tracy Dolan's refugee office who helped fund the translations into Dari and Pashto. Is there a limit for the number of licenses per SU for Transact? For example, could all of my 8 school principals and directors register for the account?
That's what we want you to do.
Yep, that was what we just addressed. So yes, anyone with a district email, it sounds like, can register with no limits per district.
You can add them too. So anytime you go, when you go into your people, you'll see it's staff. There's a little add staff button. So you can add staff one at a time, or you could do a mass upload as well. And if you have any issues with that, support, I'm part of the customer care team as well. So you can always email your user list if you have any issues to support@transact.com, and I would be happy to add your staff for you too.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie. Question unanswered in the comments. How long will these resources be available? Is it going away in 1 to 2 years? What's the plan here?
Good question.
So Stephanie answered, if there is good utilization of the tool, it will be offered. Stephanie, I'm not sure, do you want to hop on here and elaborate a little bit for our field folks?
Of course, yes. So we are using a variety of federal funds to fund this this tool, this resource, and with any sort of responsible use of federal funds, we want to be sure that the tool is being used before we determine whether to continue the contract. So the hope is that this time of year is the time that it's the busiest time for use of the tool. So we're tracking very closely how this is being used in this time. And our hope is that it will be used a lot so that we can justify continuing to use our federal funds to support the platform. As you can see, and it's an amazing tool. It's covers a lot of requirements. A lot of people ask for assistance with translation. This is one way we can help offer some. And beyond that, in order to be compliant with all the federal title programs, these are required. So we hope you'll use it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Another question in the chat for us. Will VT-CAP student report explanations for families formerly published by the VT-AOE be available here for translation? Looks like Stephanie
Yes,
said she
I
will
can
add them in.
Yeah, I can add any of our state level notices. I can add them here to this platform, like I've added this enrollment paperwork and the special ed documents and the household income form. And please note that these also have some translations attached. Not all 25 languages are represented in our state notices, but we do have several translations available.
Wonderful. And Stephanie, just confirming if there are other state notices that are not already in the platform and folks want to reach out and request they be added, would that be done through you?
Yes, please. Let me put my email in the chat.
Wonderful.
It's also on the home page too, in case anybody, when you log in, there's the Vermont contact. And then if anybody needs training too, just because I kind of skipped over this part, there's little tutorial videos on the home screen, but I also host a weekly webinar that anybody across the nation can attend. So there's a sign up for an upcoming training. Again, I host one once a week, so you guys can always hop into that too.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie. Another question in the chat, can custom notices also be translated?
I think districts could contract directly with Transact, I believe, if they wanted to do that. Yeah. So that would have to be arranged in concert. You could contact Jamie first or contact support at Transact, and they could give you a quote on what that would cost to have a custom notice.
We partner with LanguageLine Translation Solutions for custom translation projects. So if there's like a district specific document, like your handbook or something that you guys need to have translated, you can always either email me, it's just jamie@transact.com. Maybe Stephanie, you could throw that one in the chat. Or you can email support, just send us your file and what languages you want the document in, or at least a quote in, and LanguageLine will send you over a quote within 24 to 48 hours with what it would cost, and you guys can decide yay or nay.
Excellent, thank you. And for folks who may be furiously taking notes in the background, Jamie and Stephanie did provide me with a set of slides that we will share out following today's session. So we'll share the Coffee and Conversations main deck and then also the Transact slides as well. And it sounds like all this good information will be included. Excellent. Any other questions for Jamie or Stephanie? Very good. Sounds like you two are off the hook for now.
Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your sunshine. It's still not light outside. So
I was just going to say, thank you so much for starting your day with us. We appreciate it. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Bye. All right, folks, let's get back into our slide deck here. Whoops. Okay. Okay. Moving forward. So the question on everybody's mind, what is happening here with Coffee and Conversations? We are very happy to announce that we have a plan for that. And I did see a question in chat earlier about the agenda planning for Coffee and Conversations, so we will cover that in a moment. But ultimately, what we'd like to do this fall is leverage the existing Coffee and Conversations network as a platform for a learning series on topics that have become major priorities both for AOE and field. So over the summer, we've been doing some work to identify major upcoming work, major AOE strategic initiatives, listening to field around what is important to you all. And we were considering ways that we could leverage this network to get that information to you in a way that is timely and relevant, but also a bit more structured. So you know what to expect and when to expect it, and that we're delivering groups of content to you in the same meeting versus spreading it out over a period of time. We hope that these meetings will become a bit more webinar structured with some opportunity for feedback from the field, which isn't much different than how we've hosted Coffee and Conversations in the past. What we may see more of are mini trainings that are included into the presentations. As we did today, we may have continue to have guest speakers come in and present on topics that are in the agenda for that day, but we will continue to have our back and forth dialogue, and we really want to continue to have this engagement with field. So I don't want folks to leave this thinking that we will lose that. That is a really important component of these meetings and this platform, and so we do want to continue that conversation. We are also recognizing that because of the wide variety of topics that are addressed in these, both in Coffee and Conversations and also in what we have planned for the upcoming learning series, there's a wide range of participants that may be interested in the topics or may benefit from the topics. So we are planning to, and we will strive to do this as often as we can. Please bear with us if things get a little tight, maybe in some of our busier moments, but we aim to share the agenda 2 weeks in advance so that folks can make plans, share with your teams, delegate out to appropriate team members, etc., based on the content presented. We will plan to record and publish these webinars on the AOE website, again with some closed captioning provided. And we would like to include this in a more long-term resource hub for you all so that we can go back and review these series again based on the topics presented at each meeting. And I know our team was very excited about this piece. Hopefully you are as well. We will continue to use our beloved Bits and Bobs segment to give you just quick reminders, some of those really hot items that maybe don't require a lengthier presentation, but do feel important to get out to you in real time. So what is coming? Our next session will focus on literacy, which will include an overview of Read Vermont and Act 139. We will have our very own Emily Lesh from the AOE conduct the majority of that session. In no particular order following next session, we will address topics like school facilities and state construction aid, school health and safety initiatives for the current school year, chronic absenteeism, continuous improvement plans, strategic budgeting for FY26, so thinking about the next upcoming budgeting season. Oh, I'll back up. So hearing that, we are, number one, open to questions to see how you all feel about this kind of somewhat restructuring, but then also thinking about what other topics may be relevant to you all in the coming months. So we'll open it up. Yay, nay? Will folks continue to join us? Thumbs up out there in the world. Excellent. Okay. Great. So really high level, folks, what we're looking to do is be a bit more intentional with the use of Coffee and Conversations. I'm not sure that the delivery will change too much other than we really want to make this something that is meaningful and useful to you all. So we're trying to tweak it in ways that will help you all plan, number one, to have the right representatives from your teams here, and number two, just to know what is upcoming. So you know you have those resources on the way. Gwen, go ahead.
Good morning, thanks. I'm wondering, something that could be helpful is throughout the year, if there are things that are due, applications or pieces like next, for example, we have our equitable services coming up due next week, but when things are due, if there could be a quick review of that and maybe an exemplar.
Sure, that's a great suggestion, Gwen. I can talk with my colleagues here about what that might look like and what cadence we may be able to do that. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a vote of yay for school facilities and state construction aid. Excellent, definitely will be an upcoming topic. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Great. All right, folks, we will keep moving forward then. Okay, so our last little bit here, our bits and bobs for the end of our meeting. Number one, just an upcoming reminder to folks who haven't been made aware, the annual Governor School Safety Conference is being held on September 30th, 2024. It is a Monday this year. And this is really our last year that we have access to funding for a much more robust setting and a free registration for this meeting. We did not hold one last year. We held one last in 2022 and had about 400 participants. We're really hoping to get a wide variety of participation as well this year. Registration is open. We are asking for registration through September 20th so that we can plan accordingly for meal count. If you do have folks that are interested in registering after the 20th of September, please have them reach out to myself or Taylor and we can assist with that. It looks like the registration form has been put into the chat. Go ahead, Jill.
Yeah. Court, would you mind just telling folks a little bit more about the focus of this session? Because we're doing something a bit unique this year, and then who some of the marketing, no, who are the keynote speakers and what are the breakout sessions? I think there's a lot of folks on here who might be thinking like, oh, school safety conference, but there's actually a lot of really relevant information there for the folks here. So
yep,
would you mind sharing a little bit more? Yeah,
took the words right out of my mouth here, Jill. So I did want to share a little bit about the agenda for the upcoming session. And as Jill mentioned, we have a little bit different of a twist this year. We have woven the theme of student perspective, school safety through student perspective, through all of our presentations this coming session. And so there are a couple ways we're going to do that. Number one, we do have our keynote speaker coming in. Her name is Michelle Gay. She's a nationally renowned speaker and a Sandy Hook surviving parent. She and her organization have done a lot of work around school safety, and they'll be presenting to us. And I have provided her with some Vermont specific information, so she'll be able to add a little bit of a local spin as well. The AOE has partnered with Up for Learning. Some folks may be familiar with Up for Learning this summer and fall to engage in multiple student dialogue events with students in grades 8 through 12 around student safety efforts. And so really trying to understand from student perspective and from that student lens, how are some of the more recent policy changes around school safety and really thinking about school safety and physical security, how are they impacting student lives and specifically during their school day? Up for Learning will be at the event on September 30th. They'll provide an overview of the dialogue events. They'll be sharing themes and key takeaways. They are also conducting a statewide survey right now this week. So superintendents should have received an invitation last week to participate in the survey. We are hoping for this to be spread widely and broadly in I believe grades 8 through 12 as well. If you are a superintendent and you are interested in this and you haven't received the information, please reach out to us as soon as possible. The survey is expected to close sometime early next week. So we are, again, hoping to present a nice wrap up of all of that information at the conference. We will also have a presentation by Don Huff, who is with the School Safety Task Force Association. So not association, School Safety Task Force. So he'll be coming in to provide a lot of information about cybersecurity, but also national trends around school safety that are being seen at a federal level. And then our breakout sessions have a pretty broad range of topics as well. We'll be covering critical incident response. We'll be covering how to diffuse a mental health or more we will be exploring some tools on how to diffuse major incidents in a classroom. We'll be exploring the role of school climate in behavioral threat assessment, which is one of those topics that will be getting a lot of attention this fall. BTA teams will, of course, have some new materials coming out very, very soon. And so we'd like to explore the role of school climate. We will also have a session based on emergency operations planning and annex development. That has been a topic that we've heard a lot of requests for support for this summer. So we do have somebody from the Vermont Emergency Management Team coming to the conference to do a specific breakout session on how to develop your hazard-specific annexes to support those plans. Taylor and/or Jill, what am I missing?
You had everything I was thinking about.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we're going to be really hitting a real wide range and really listen to needs from the field as we were developing this agenda. So I'm very, very hopeful that folks can attend. I know that September and October are really, really busy months for you all. We were a little bit constrained by the date here because of the funding source and wanting to have this be a free event with no registration fee. And so guess what? September 30th is a deadline for us as well because we're using those ARPESSER funds. So really, really hopeful that you can all attend and that it will be a really meaningful engagement for you, especially as you all are really working on, Act 29 implementation. We really wanted it to be a really thoughtful and practical conference for you all. So
Absolutely.
thanks.
Our goal for all of you is who do attend is that you can walk away from the conference with some really actionable tools and supports to help with that work. We're also really excited again about the participation. So we'll have all partners in school safety. You may have local law enforcement or first responders as well, local emergency planners, and then certainly a large representation from districts around the state. So really encourage everybody to come. If you can't come yourself, can you send a delegate of your team? We'd love to have you. And again, the registration information is in the chat for you all. Okay, so listen and learn. We also want to share a little bit about some work that's happening with the Listen and Learn tour that our interim secretary Saunders has kicked off this summer. So a little bit of work, a little bit of information about the work that has happened and work to come. So just a few weeks ago, the agency published a state level report with really high level information about trends in things like enrollment, spending per pupil, academic proficiency, staffing and salaries. This is a really great high level picture of education in the state right now. If folks have not seen that report, please let us know, and we probably can link it quickly in the chat. Upcoming, we will be engaging in regional planning and planning sessions or workshops with education leaders around the state. So we say regional, we have done this work based on the regional superintendents associations. So we've been working very closely with all superintendents across the state to plan these sessions. And we are inviting education leaders from within each district to come and work through some very challenging topics around the current state of education, challenges that are being presented, future state of education, and how we can best prepare for some upcoming policy and regulatory work. If you are interested in this, I would say please connect with your superintendent's office. This is all of our sessions are now planned. We have our first session starting next Tuesday. Thank you, Winooski Valley. You get to kick us off. And we are working on these sessions through early October. We will cover some topics. Again, we will cover some more broad topics around the future of education, but we are also planning some really, I think, deep conversations and some really exploratory conversations around mental health and chronic absenteeism, academic proficiency, specifically math and ELA, and college and career readiness. So thinking about those 3 areas of expertise, I would invite folks to think about how you may be able to contribute to your district at this event. And question in the chat, do you have the Listen and Learn questions for consideration prior to the sessions? Questions could help gather input. For folks who are invited to the regional sessions, we are working on a little bit of, I'll say, pre-work. We are working on a pre-session package so that we can get some, again, we want to get that preparatory information out. And yes, I agree, there are some things that will be easy to think, or easier if you can think about them in advance. So stay tuned, it is coming. Holly says would love a copy of the report. Holly, we can either get that in the chat for you at some time during this meeting, or we can follow up afterward. Looks like Jill has just put it right in there for folks who are interested. Any other questions about Listen and Learn? Thank you, Jill. So Jill has also added a link to our general web page around Listen and Learn activities, some work that will be upcoming, and I will acknowledge that the pace of this work is pretty fast. So we'll see a lot of this moving forward in the next several months. really coming to completion with this first leg of the tour by the end of the calendar year. Following the regional planning sessions, we will be engaging in public engagement, where we will be conducting public engagement sessions in partnership with our regions. So our third piece of this is really to take the information that we've gained through those regional workshops and, oh, sorry, folks, if I could just have folks mute. Thank you. We'll be engaging in some conversations, some pointed conversations with the public about this work and really trying to think about what would be most useful for you in your communities to engage with the public in. So we're not really thinking of open town hall style meetings, but thinking about how can we structure this public engagement in a way that helps to support us moving forward in this conversation about the future of public education. Through the process, we do also expect to publish some additional reports, so please keep your eyes open for that as well. Data, we all love the data, helps to really ground these conversations. Okay, we'll offer another reminder about the ARP ESSER liquidation extension timeline. So the deadline for executed contracts or a signed purchase order is September 30th. Please make sure you are being mindful of these upcoming deadlines. Kate Horton continues to support us in this capacity. Thank you, Kate. Please reach out to her with any questions. Her email is included in the slides, and I can get it into the chat in here in a moment. And we've also linked, again, some of those really important documents through this process, the liquidation request form, the extension web, and copies of the ARP ESSER liquidation extension webinar and process guide. So another reminder on this work, but again, that deadline is coming up very quickly. The next reminder you get will be on September 25th, which doesn't leave you a lot of time to finish this up. If folks have questions, please reach out to us as soon as possible. If this is something that you still need support on, please let us know ASAP so that we can support you over the next couple of weeks and make sure that we are meeting all of those deadlines and requirements. Any questions? Holly asks, what do steps after September 30th need to be taken as far as punch list or for retainage? Holly, I am going to either see if Jill wants to answer that, or we may need to follow up later on if there are specific questions about liquidation extension.
Holly, can you ask your question, unmute and like fill out your question a little bit more for me?
Sure, absolutely. I can't tell you how much your background brings me joy, and I really like your haircut. It looks great. I am wondering, like, we have, I'm happy to report that we have all our chillers and we have our rooftop units. We, the lion's share of our construction work for the summer is complete. We still have controls contractors in there and electricians, and we're still finishing out the last, 5% of the project. I'm pushing all the contractors to invoice by September 30th, but as we're completing work and we're completing punch list stuff and we're releasing retainage, I don't want to release retainage on a contractor if they still have punch list items. So what does that look like? Do we have a 60 days to pay those invoices? Do we have 30 days?
So all of your grants have that closeout period that's built in, which is really December 30th. So if you are receiving invoices, paying invoices, whatever that is that's happening during that closeout period, you're good to go. So as long as you are able to fully close out the grant by December 30th, you're fine, Holly. Some folks are finding that maybe they're maybe the work is leaking over into that closeout period a little bit. If you're finding that that's happening, I would encourage you to reach out to myself and Kate Horton. We're having lots of like little mini touch bases with folks. The performance during your normal closeout period is more flexible with these funds, but don't make any decisions based on that statement. It's the devil's always in the details. That always only counts for contracted services. So it wouldn't be like you cannot pay staff into the closeout period, et cetera, et cetera. So Holly, what you just described is part of the normal closeout process. There's nothing unusual in that.
Perfect.
But if you are someone who is finding that you're getting concerned, you're not going to receive equipment, or the construction project's like leaking over into October a little bit, please reach out to myself and Kate. We'll walk through kind of the options. And then if you're also looking at, you have a contracted service for professional development or mental health supports or whatever that may be, and you actually want to extend that contract so that you can really maximize the delivery of those services, that also might be an option for liquidation extension, and you should reach out to myself and Kate and we can discuss it. There's folks that are making use of this. This is how we as a state have sort of committed to really maximizing these funds as best as possible so that we're not leaving money on the table. And yes, I think that's
Excellent. Thank you. No, I'm all of like construction. The rest of the stuff is
Yeah.
important and blah, blah, blah. But no, that's awesome. Thank you very much, my friends.
it. Yeah, thanks, Holly.
You're welcome. Heather Bushy, go right ahead.
I have a question about the listen and learn dates. So if the date that is within your region doesn't work for you, can you attend in a different region, or that's not really going to be a useful thing?
We have talked about it, Heather, so I do want to just acknowledge that we did think about that, and only offering one date does obviously provide some scheduling challenges. Oh, we'll just have folks mute, please, if you can. Thank you. Unfortunately, no. I think at this point, if you're unable to make it, what we are looking to offer are some summary reports following the meeting so that you can receive some info about the conversations that happen and what comes out and what decisions are made, if any. And then, of course, if you have other representatives that can join you or join your district for that event. In terms of joining a different region, I'm not sure that would be useful, because a big part of the regional planning sessions is to come together as a region and talk about some of those regional specific challenges and opportunities. And so I think you would find maybe a little bit of value in the general content, but that regional component would not be beneficial to go to a different session.
Okay.
Heather, I would say, I think business managers are critical to this conversation. So if you are not able to attend your session, if you've got a delegate in your business office that you can send, please do so. Because that finance piece is really important to the conversation. You already know some of what we're going to be talking about around
Right.
mental
Yeah.
health
Mhm.
costs and that sort of thing. So please do delegate somebody if you can.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And just to address more broadly one of the questions in the chat. So the dates for these events have been set. This is more of an FYI for folks about work that is happening right now. The dates are going to run from September 17th, and I think our last one is on October 8th. We have been coordinating with superintendents. So all superintendents have been a part of this conversation. They have been coordinating participants on their end, and we've given some suggestions, as Jill just mentioned, around which type or what positions or what roles within a district or a school system really are critical to these conversations. And so if you have not been approached and you think that you should be a part of these conversations, I would say please work with your superintendent's office to identify whether or not there is space for you to join. So is there an estimate of when spring 2024 VT-CAP statewide will be released? Not seeing those yet on the student reports or the state data dashboard. I don't have an explicit date. I know that we were expecting them to be released sometime this fall. I'm kind of question marking at Jill here. But what we hope to do is again, we really want to acknowledge that these reports are happening at a moment in time. So what we'd like to do is make this the first of a series of these types of reports, and we'll continue to update them as time moves forward with more relevant information.
Yeah, and seeing Bryn's question, that was specific to the Vermont State Assessment 2024 statewide results, confirming.
I assume yes,
asking
but
about
Bryn,
the
let us know.
Vermont comparisons for spring 2024.
Yeah, so the preliminary results on those are, I think, going to be released soon. And we're actually going to try to integrate them into an updated version of the state profile potentially. I believe, and Danielle or Josh, anyone involved with the state assessment, if you would like to unmute and offer the timeline on the actual posting of the official state results, please feel free to do so.
Not sure we have those team members on the call. I think
Hello.
just kind of, go right ahead.
I'm here, but I don't actually have an answer to that question because I think we're still trying to figure out exactly when that may happen. I know that we are poised and ready to release the preliminary results.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about the updating of the report and how long and what that would include if we're looking to do those together.
Thanks, Jen. And I think it's worth reiterating here, we are presenting data through the Listen and Learn tour in a way that we haven't done, certainly not in recent history, but I don't think we've ever really approached it in quite this way as an agency. So I do want folks to really understand that these reports are going to be, again, a moment in time based on the information that we have access to in that moment. Data and information changes quite rapidly. So it's very possible that even by the time we publish a report, a new data set may be available that could have otherwise informed. And so what the AOE is seeking to do is to continue to correct and adjust and issue more iterations of these reports as time moves forward. That does not necessarily mean that each time there is a new addition to that data that we will be kind of in this constant state of adjusting and updating that report. We'll be thinking really intentionally about what intervals make sense to update that state profile, and then what kind of interval might we see moving forward. So is it an annual event? Is it twice a year, right? And I just want folks to really be mindful of that as we go forward, because there is a lot of really exciting data to be included, and it can feel a bit like, are we missing pieces? Why did we exclude this? What's happening here? So questions are always welcome. Please, if you see something that you have a question about or you'd like to push back, we are open to those conversations. But in terms of how frequently the reports are updated, we'll be thinking about that in terms of how do we do that in a way that's most valuable and meaningful to the information? And it will likely not be once a month, once every couple weeks, that sort of cadence. Gwen has some good feedback about the release. It would be very helpful to see the domain information, how students did in areas within ELA math science, in addition to broad statewide achievement and disaggregated data. Gwen, we're working through it. We have a lot of ideas brewing about how to present this type of information in future reports. So thank you. This is very helpful feedback. Jen Hicks, not sure if you can answer this question. What is the state assessment window for this year?
I'm not sure what they mean by state assessment window, but.
Yep, Jody, if you're on, could you unmute and maybe elaborate a bit? We can try to help you out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what is the window in which we will be administering the assessment this year.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The actual test, I believe it'll be the same. I mean, it's always the same. And I'm new, so yeah, I think it starts in March and runs through April, with some preparatory work in February. The sort of trainings and things like that. That's what I remember from last year.
And I want to help Jen out a little bit here. We really didn't plan today's conversation around assessment info, so I want to be cognizant of not lobbing things at Jen that we haven't prepared for today.
I just, like I said, I'm new, so I'm still learning all the time frames and all of that. But yeah, it's March through April is when the assessment testing is done.
Thank you, Jen. All right, folks. Brings us to the end of our meeting. So thank you all for hanging out with us today. Again, we are so excited to see this group back together. Summer flew by, but we did certainly miss seeing and hearing from all of you through the last couple of months. Our next Coffee and Conversations agenda will be based on Read Vermont Act 139 and all things literacy. So I do encourage you all to share the meeting invite as you can with your teams who would benefit from this conversation. We will have a presentation from AOE's Emily Lesh. And we'll have an opportunity again for this type of open discussion and conversation following the presentation. In the next few days, I'll send an email out to our distribution list with a reminder about this agenda and the meeting invite information. Please feel free to share. If you have colleagues that would like to be added to the standing meeting invite, please have them reach out to myself and/or Taylor, and we will get them added to that list. And with that, folks, thank you again. I bid you all adieu. I hope that everybody has a wonderful rest of the day and week, and we will come back together in just a couple of weeks. Oh, I am going to pause, actually. I believe we have a message from one of our colleagues. Kevin, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here, and I just wanted to say thanks to all of you I've gotten to work with. Some of you were still on, I saw on the list through the last several years of ESSER and ARP ESSER and construction. I got to a few of your sites. I didn't get to as many as I wanted to, but appreciated working with all of you. I put in something in the chat like 9:29, and just wanted to say I'm joining you out in the field. I'm going to go teach 4th and 5th grade. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you out there.
Thank you, Kevin. Hopefully someday we'll see you again, still on this meeting. So we won't be too far. Thank you for all your good work with the AOE. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you.
All right, all. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, team. Thank you, colleagues.